Just today, I joined a group called Pantheist on Facebook, a Pantheist group. And for those of you that don't know what pantheism is, pantheism can be broken up into two words: pan, meaning everything, and theism, meaning belief. And although Baruch Spinoza in the 17th century was mostly accredited for developing the word pantheism, pantheism is the belief that God exists in everything. This thought, this concept existed in the East long before Spinoza came around and coined the term pantheism. But I've written a little bit on Spinoza, and I've done some research, and I thought he was a very brilliant mind, a very brilliant philosopher. But he never took it any deeper than belief. And when I joined this pantheist group, maybe they don't know, but I could be a danger to the group, because I'm here to bring you beyond your beliefs. And although pantheism is the closest theism to reality, to what's really existing in the world, or how the world really exists, it is still a theism. It's still just a belief. And even though it's a beautiful belief, beliefs tie you down just like chains do to a jail cell or something similar to that. Your chains may be made of gold, but they're still chains. So theism and atheism are two sides to the same coin. Both of them you're left in the dark. Even though one side might be brighter and more alluring and more attractive, atheism could be considered the dark side of theism, or beliefism, if there's such a word as beliefism. You are in the dark, and it's a void. It's an emptiness and a void, and it's actually not the worst place to start your journey. Starting with the negative, because the negative is like a black chalkboard that's completely black, and any thoughts or ideas imposed upon that black chalkboard come out with white chalk are very vibrant and can be understood and comprehended very easily. But this word pantheism goes back. The ideas behind it date back way before, even before Buddha or Patanjali or any of the masters that I've read about. I mean, the first time I ever heard of pantheism was the ideas expressed by the mystic Osho. And I read quite a lot of Osho's work. I've got a couple hundred of his books that I've collected over the years. And repeatedly throughout his works, he talks about how God exists in everything. That when God made the universe, the moment he created the universe, he dove into his creation, and he became his creation. He became one with his creation. And what is pantheism other than that? I mean, you think about it. We all live and we all die. But in between those two gaps, the gap of life, when life starts till the end of its journey, if you can go beyond your theism or your atheism and grasp what the truth is, and not only just believe it, but go beyond your belief and go into what we call knowing, realizing that this pantheism, this idea that God is in everything, is so true. I mean, what is enlightenment other than the realization that you become one with everything, or that you are one with everything, and everything is connected to everything else? I mean, these are the realizations that Buddha had when he became enlightened, and many masters and many people who have mastered enlightenment or have become enlightened since then have all realized that this pantheism is true. But Buddha himself denied God, or denied the existence of a God, but he didn't deny pantheism. And if he would have known Spinoza and philosophized with Spinoza, maybe Baruch Spinoza would have become enlightened himself. I mean, who knows? Maybe, possibly he was, but my feeling is he isn't, because he never took his theism beyond belief, into what I would call a reality. So tonight's discussion is leaning on Patanjali's Yoga Sutras again, because I'm still continuing on with this series, and I know it's boring. Everybody's like, yoga? Oh man, that's for kooks, man. That's for weird people that like to stand on their heads. But in reality, yoga, Patanjali's idea of yoga is the ultimate path of reuniting yourself with this oneness, with this everything, and this what Buddha called enlightenment. Patanjali may have called it something different, but Patanjali says to us. Patanjali says, "I come to you with the most detailed map of how to get to that point, to the point of realization where pantheism becomes a reality. So you can no longer call it pantheism; you could call it panrealism, but it's different. It's different from just believing in this concept. Like I said, no matter how beautiful the concept, Patanjali's the founder of yoga, gave us this map, and we've been discussing this map throughout our Yoga Sutras. And tonight I'd like to pick up again in Osho's book, Yoga, the Alpha and the Omega, Volume 1. Patanjali says to us, ways to become enlightened is right knowledge. It has three sources: direct cognition, inference, and words of the awakened ones. And what Patanjali means by direct cognition means basically that you meditated maybe by yourself, or maybe you had guidance along the way, but you yourself became enlightened and you got to meet God, and you got to meet this oneness that Buddha calls enlightenment. But it's not through any of the senses, because enlightenment doesn't come to you through the senses. It's that's what they call direct cognition. It's the most vital way to get to know whether God is or God isn't, or whether pantheism is or whether pantheism isn't. It is the ultimate goal. The ultimate way of realizing and understanding this truth and getting to know the truth. And I'm going to briefly step in and out of Osho's work on this book here. But anyway, Osho says that Patanjali says inference is the second source of right knowledge. Right logic, right doubting, right argument can give you something which can help towards real knowledge. These things are what he calls inference, anuman. Have you not seen directly, but everything proves that it is, so it must be so. Situational proofs are there that it must be so. For example, you look around the vast universe. You may not be able to conceive that there is a God, but you cannot deny, even though simple inference you cannot deny, that the whole world is a system, a coherent whole, a design. That cannot be denied. The design is so apparent that even science cannot deny it. Rather, on the contrary, science goes on finding more and more designs and more laws. And if the world is just an accident, then science is impossible. But the world does not seem to be an accident. It seems to be planned, and it is running according to certain laws. And those laws are never broken. Patanjali will say that the design in the universe cannot be denied. And once you feel that there is a design, then the designer has entered. But that is inference, and you have not known him directly, but you have only known the design of the universe, the planning, the laws, the order. And the order is so superb. It is so minute, so superb, so infinite. The order is there. Everything is humming with an order, and there is a musical harmony of the whole universe. Someone seems to be hidden behind it, but that is what we call inference. And Patanjali says that inference can also be a help towards right knowledge, but it has to be right inference. Logic is dangerous. It is double-edged, and you can use logic wrongly. And then, too, you will reach conclusions. For example, I told you that a plan is there, that design is there. The world has an order, a beautiful order, perfect. The right inference would be that there seems to be somebody's hand in it, hand behind it. We may not be directly aware of this, but we may be in direct touch with that hand. But a hand seems to be there, hidden. This is the right inference. But from the same premises, you can also infer wrongly. There have been thinkers who have said, like Diderot has said, that because of order, I cannot believe there is a God. There seems to be perfect order in the world. Because of this order, I cannot believe in God. What is his logic? He says that if there was a person behind it, then there could not be so much order. If a person was behind it, then sometimes he would commit mistakes. I'll step out of the book for a second and say, well, when you look at the world today, there seems to be quite a lot of mistakes going on. I mean, there's a lot of perversions and horrible things happening to a lot of really good people. And thoughts like these give atheism ammunition for saying that there is no God, because it seems sometimes that, I mean, the universe itself outside of man is vibrating in perfect harmony. It exists perfectly without us. But then you throw man in the equation, and for the most part, it seems perfect. I mean, if you look at life, you can't see it sometimes, but there's always a balance. I've heard and read before that every time there's after a war, a great war goes on in this world, that the amount of babies that are born are way higher, leaning towards male gender than the females. So there are a lot more babies that are born males after wars, and this is God's way of balancing things out. And I also believe that God also is starting to balance out the world's population by maybe increasing the amount of gay and lesbian people that exist in the world. I mean, if we can't stop people from breeding, maybe we can their gender preferences. And I also have heard that water is going to be in short demand within 10 years from now. And, God's going to have to do something to create a balance within this world if humanity is going to exist. But, I mean, we are so overpopulating the world right now. It's really gotten out of hand and really out of balance. So something's going to have to be done to create that a balance again, or else we're in deep trouble. We run out of water. What else are we going to do? Anyway, like I said, we have a short gap between the time we're born and the time we die to realize and grasp these truths, and the gap may even be getting shorter for all of us very quickly if we don't take assertive actions and try to conserve water and utilize it in the most useful way. But back to Patanjali's Yoga Sutras, Osho picks up on page 109. He says, "But there are a few things which you cannot even infer, and you have not known them. But you are not the first on this earth. You are not the first seeker." Like I said, stepping out of the text again, Pantheism has been around probably as long as humankind or humans have been around. But anyway, back to the text. And Osho says, "But you are not the first on this earth. You are not the first seeker. Millions have been seeking for millions of years and ages. And not only on this planet, but on other planets also. The search is eternal, and many have arrived. They have reached the goal, and they have entered the temple. And their words are also a source of right knowledge." So in other words, Patanjali's words or Buddha's words or Osho's words, or hopefully even my own, are of right knowledge. Just our words alone, if listened to correctly, can lead you through the darkness and into the light. And agama means the words of those who have known. Buddha says something or Jesus says something. We do not really know what they are saying. We have not experienced it. So we have no way of judging it. We do not know what to infer and how to infer rightly from their words. And the words are contradictory, so you can infer anything you like on them. That is why there are some who think that Jesus was neurotic. Western psychiatrists have been trying to prove that he was a neurotic, that he was a maniac. He claimed, "I am the Son of God and the only Son." So he must have been an egomaniac, a neurotic. It can be proven that he was neurotic because there are many neurotic people who claim such things. But you can find this out. In madhouses, there are many such people. And Patanjali goes into, like I said, inference and right knowledge and wrong knowledge and all the other ideas or ways of becoming enlightened or keeping you from becoming enlightened. But I wanted to skip over a little bit because I read something really beautiful and it sparked a nerve with me that brought back a lot of memories in my life. But anyway, Osho and Patanjali continue on, and Patanjali says the modification of the mind, which is based in the absence of any content in it, is sleep. And Osho says this is the definition of sleep, the fourth modification of the mind, when there is no content. The mind is always filled with content, except in sleep. Something or another is there. Some thought is moving, some passion is moving, some desire is moving, some memory, some future imagination, some word, something is moving, something goes on continuously. Only then you are fast asleep. Deeply sleeping, do the contents stop. The mind disappears and you are in yourself without any content. And this has to be remembered because this is also going to be the state of samadhi, with only one difference, that you will be aware. In sleep, you are unaware. The mind goes completely into non-existence. You are left alone. There are no thoughts, just your being, but you are not aware. The mind is not there to disturb you, but you are not aware. Otherwise, sleep can become enlightenment. Countless consciousness is there, but the consciousness is not alert. It is hidden just in a seed. In samadhi, the seed is broken. The consciousness becomes the alert. And if consciousness is alert, then and there is no content, this is the goal. Sleep with awareness is the goal. I've had my own struggles with that when I was a young meditator because I had a lot of problems sleeping. Sometimes all I wished for was sleep. I mean, I could meditate for hours and I could lie there in a state of meditation with no thought whatsoever, but sleep kept evading me. But Osho says, sleep with awareness is the goal. And this is the fourth modification of the mind, sleep. But the goal, sleep with awareness, is not modification of the mind. It is beyond mind. Awareness is beyond mind. And if you can join sleep and awareness together, you will have become enlightened. But it is difficult. Because even when you are awake during the day, you are not alert. Even when we are awake, we are not awake. The word is false. When we sleep, how can we be awake? Even when we are awake, we are not awake. You have to be awake when you are awake, more and more intensely awake. And then you have to try to be awake in your dreams. While dreaming, you have to be alert. If only you succeed with the waking state, and then with the dreaming state, you will be able to succeed in the third state, that of sleep. So first try to be aware while walking on the street. Don't just go on walking automatically, mechanically. Be alert of every movement, of every breath that you take, exhaling, inhaling. Be alert of every eye movement you make, of every person you look at. Be alert. Whatsoever you are doing, be alert, and do it with alertness. Then, in the night, while you are falling asleep, try to remain alert. The last phase of the day will be passing. Memories will be floating. Remain alert, and try to fall asleep with alertness. It will be difficult, but if you try, within a few weeks, you will have a glimpse. You will be asleep and alert. So basically, I'm going to step out of the context and say that Osho is saying that the body will sleep. Your body will be asleep, but you'll remain conscious. You'll be aware. And I have done that actually all night long, and it's crazy. It's like you go to bed in a meditative state. So you go to bed meditating, and all through the night you stay in that state of meditation, and you wake up in the morning still meditating. So Osho goes back to saying, if you can do this even for a single moment, it is so beautiful, it is so bliss-filled that you will never be the same again. And then you will not say that sleep is just wasting time. It can become the most precious sadhana, because when the waking state goes and sleep starts, there is a change of gears inside. It is just like the change of gears in a car. When you change the gears from one gear to another, for a single moment, while you're in between these two, there is a neutral gear. There's no actual gear. That moment of neutrality is very significant. The same happens in the mind. When you move from the waking state to sleep, there is a moment. And when you when you neither awake or asleep, in that moment there is no gear. The mechanism is not functioning. Your automatic personality is nullified in that moment. And in that moment, your old habits cannot force you into a certain pattern. In that moment, you can escape and become alert. In India, this has been called sadhanya, the moment in between. There are two sadhanyas, two in-between moments. One in the night when you go from the waking state to the sleep, and another in the morning when you again move from sleep to the waking. These two moments Hindus have called the moments of prayer, sandikyal. Two periods in between, because then your personality is not there for a single moment. In that single moment, you are pure and innocent. And if in that moment you can become alert, your whole life will have changed. You have laid the foundation for transformation. So try in the dreaming state to be alert. And there are methods for how to be alert in the dreaming state. You can do one thing if you want to try. First, try in the waking state. And when you succeed in the waking state, then you'll be able to succeed in the dreaming state. Because dreaming is deeper. More effort will be needed. It is also difficult, because what can be done in a dream, and how can you do it? For the dreaming state, Gurdjieff developed a beautiful method. It is one of the very old Tibetan methods, and the Tibetan seekers have penetrated very deeply into the dream world. The method is, while you are falling asleep, try to remember one thing, and any one thing. For example, just like a rose. Just visualize a rose. Just go on thinking that you will see it in a dream. Visualize it and go on thinking that in your dream, whatsoever the dream, this rose must be there. Visualize its color, its scent, everything. Feel it is so that it will become alive inside you. And with that rose, fall into sleep. Within a few days, you'll be able to bring that flower into your dream. And this is a great success because now you have created at least a part of your dream. Now you are the master. At least one part of the dream, the flower, has come because you have made it come. And the moment you will see the flower, you will immediately remember that this is a dream. I'll step out and say that you'll realize it's a dream, but that doesn't mean you'll wake up. I mean, you could shock yourself into waking up, say, "Oh my God, I'm awake. I'm aware. That must mean I'm awake." But no, that's not true. You can stay in the dream, and it can become what is called a lucid dreaming, where you actually control the whole dream, but you stay in sleep. You stay asleep while you're controlling everything, and it can be very beautiful. You can meet amazing people, and they can take you on amazing journeys, and you can basically your mind is the limit. I mean, there is no limit to lucid dreaming. You can have people and make love to them. You can have people and fly through the sky. You can, like I said, you can have anything you want. You can do anything you want with a lucid dream. But these are, like I said, it's on your journey towards becoming enlightened. You're a step closer, and when you can control the dreaming state. But the last state, the sleep itself, and Osho picks up by saying on page 124 that Tibetans have used dream creation because through dream creation, you can change your total mind, the structure. And when you succeed with dreams, then you can succeed with sleep. But there is no technique for dreamless sleep because there is no content. A technique can work only with the content. Because there is no content, no technique can help. But through dreams, you will learn to be aware, and that awareness can be carried on into sleep. I remember a dream I had many years ago. I was in such a deep dream state. They say, like on the movie Inception, there are so many layers to a dream. You can be in a 15-layer dream. It can be, you can snap out of one dream and pop into another. Wake up in one dream and be in another. And this can go on for quite a long time. But anyway, in this one dream I had, I guess I was really in deep states of dreaming. I decided to go into meditation. In my dream, I was actually sitting down, and I watched myself go into meditation. And I cleared my mind. I became still inside. And then I could actually see these layers go boom, 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 snap, 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 picture after picture, about 15 layers. And next thing I know, I was in my body meditating while I was asleep. And then I became awake and said, wow. So that's what happens when you meditate a lot and carry that meditation and that awareness into your dream state. But like I said, these are all ways of helping you become enlightened, to help further your journey, to help you deepen your soul and deepen your understanding of existence. And hopefully one day I can take you from pantheism to panrealism, to what Buddha called enlightenment, to what some people call being twice born, being born again. These are all terms given by great masters from throughout history, but they all mean the same thing. And the realization that we are God, but everything is God. So we're not special because we realize we are God, or God exists in us. We are just another piece, another small, thread of all the woven fabric of this universe. But anyway, my name is Douglas Grummons. I'm glad you joined me again, and I appreciate all the time you spent listening to me babble on about pantheism and creationism, and how existence works, and maybe how it doesn't work. But that will have to be your reality one day. You'll have to wake up and realize these things in that gap, like I said, in that gap between when you're born and when you die. And that's the time you have to figure it out. Because after you die, who knows what happens? I mean, I have a theory that when you die, all your dreams, everything that kept you sustained and helped you to sleep longer at night, will be a collective, one big collective pot of all your existence in the afterlife. So basically you could be dreaming for maybe 100, 200 years, but I don't believe that anybody stays in a state of dreaming for the rest of eternity. I mean, eternity is forever, and that's really an extremely long time. And if you think about it, I think it's too long to be without a body, because in this body, in this very life, in this very existence, is where you get to realize, and where you realize love and realize growth and the ability to grow and expand humanity's horizons, as well as expanding the consciousness of the world and your consciousness. And it all starts with you taking that step and realizing that pantheism is more than just a theory. Like I said, my name is Douglas Grummons. Thank you for joining me. You guys take care of yourselves and have a great day.